Next item of discussion is in regards to public information and public information requests. What I wanted to do is basically sit and talk with the board, to the public, for videos, for everybody's information. Every year, every 2 years, it's nothing new for my office or for Cameron's office, finance office. We get public information requests all the time. Nothing unusual that when you start getting closer to election year that the requests come higher. And the public is more than welcome to the information. And quite honestly, I would rather sit down and help people understand our systems as it exists, so that we don't spend a lot of time going back and forth trying to figure out what is it they really want and things of that nature. But let's talk about what the law is versus what I'm instructed to do or what this board would like for me to do, because they may or may not coincide. So let's talk about public information in general. What is public information? Public information is information that exists that's already in a document form. Now, I'm not saying that the citizens don't have a right to know things. I'm not saying that they don't need to ask questions. I'm looking at this, gentlemen, as just a time issue. Plain and simple. Okay. So if we can run through some examples. Salaries, that's always a big one. That always gets requested every year. Travel, every couple of years, that always gets requested. Supply lines, things of that nature, gets requested. If that type of information, for the public's information too, generally always document it. We had the auditors here. We've got purchase orders all the way down to travel logs and things of that nature, well documented. Those documents exist. Salaries, we obviously have things that exist that document salaries and things of that nature. Just for everybody's information, when you start asking those types of questions, if you'll ask us a date sensitive, it really helps us out instead of a broad scope. Even if you say for fiscal year, or I need to know the dates. Otherwise, it could go back a long way. So if you say last fiscal year from July 1 to such and such date, if you give me and my staff dates, then it really helps us out. And it's very easy for me to walk over to Joy or to the finance office and say, hey, run this between these dates and these dates, and that's very easy to find that information. The real problem that starts coming into play is when we're asked to generate reports. Okay. And generally how I work with the citizens is I'll generally try to work and explain and give some explanation. I know some counties that if you don't ask for it exactly right, they just basically tell you no. Because of the law, they don't have to, unless you're asked something specific, they don't have to provide it. I do try to work with the citizens and try to give explanation why we have it or we don't have it, but I'm gonna throw this one out in particular because it's been asked of me twice now, and I can tell you I don't have the information, and whether the information should be written in report form or not, I would ask y'all if this is what you want. One example is the creation of, listing out all the boards. Let me see if I can do this one. Basically, it's a request that all the boards, that all the county commissioners, myself, and Donna Shoemate sit on. Okay, that's the boards that are appointed by the county commissioners and the boards that aren't appointed by county commissioners. That's all boards, if I understand the question correctly. And then list out all compensation for serving on those boards. Okay. That's travel, time, things of that nature. I can tell you, other than the boards that you vote on, the boards that you will bring up come December 12th, I don't have that list. And quite honestly, I don't know all the boards you sit on, because there are boards that you sit on, potentially sit on, that that have nothing to do with the county. I serve on a couple of those boards with some of y'all that are or nonprofit charitable organizations, whether it be community foundation or whether it be, trying to work with groups as Inasmuch and things of that nature. I don't have that. So, the second issue that you have is when you start talking about compensation, okay? I don't know if they all compensate. I think most of them don't, but I really don't know the answer to that. What I know what gets compensated is things like, I know who gets compensated on those boards that the checks come through Alleghany County. So I know DSS board gets it. I do know the Board of Elections gets it. Those are checks that I physically sign. But there are boards that exist out there, whether it be New River, the LME, or the library, or the things of that nature that, I don't know. They're their own entity. They are open to public requests, information requests, just like the county is. Meaning, if the library board pays people, then, I'm talking about the regional library board, then they're open to public records. So it's that kind of thing that, quite honestly, I don't want to sound like I'm not trying to help the citizen out, but also I just don't feel like it falls under the public records law for Alleghany County to be producing a whole comprehensive list. Now, for example, if that's something that you would like to do as a board, I'll obviously do what you asked me to do. If we go down that route, what I would turn around and do is ask you to generate the list to give to me. Because I'm assuming you all know the boards you sit on. I'm talking about outside the boards that exist on the appointees, and then I can help consolidate it and things of that nature for you. The other issue too is when you start going outside of boards outside of what's related to the county. Okay. I don't mind if y'all know what boards I sit on. I really don't, but there's one side of me that says it's not. I do it on off county time. I do it, I try to do things at lunchtime and things like that. So I don't know how individually y'all would feel about going with boards outside the county scope. So, having said that, I guess the main point is I do want to provide information to the public. Trying to clarify the law that it has to exist in some form for me to provide. That's what legally I have to provide copies to. And all the traditional stuff, very simple, especially if you understand if you just make it within dates and things of that nature, we can knock that stuff out. But when we start generating lists, then quite honestly, I'm kind of reluctant to be spending my time or county time generating a list that's not necessarily required by law.
I'll be quick to jump in. You're not required to give any information about what boards you serve on when it's not in your capacity as a county commissioner. If you're appointed by this board or by virtue of being a county commissioner on that board, that's public information. What you do on your own time, if you serve on a church board or whatever, you don't have to disclose that. That's beyond the public records request.
And I'm using that as an example because it's been asked of me twice, but I also just wanted to have this conversation in the public, open everybody to understand what the law is. And the law is if it exists in form, then and it's in our office, we will give it to you. And quite honestly, I'll help you how to. I mean, again, if you have a 10-minute conversation with me, I'll help you frame it right. And I know I'll help you frame it right to get the information quicker. And not every question, but if you understand we're date sensitive, you understand how our reports run, it'll start. It immediately helps us to find the information you need. The other point is I'm reluctant to go above and beyond what's required by law to start generating these lists. I think that if you wish for county staff to do that, I think that needs to come to this board.
I have no problem telling I think it's 5 boards that I was appointed by this board to serve on. I'll be glad to give any information about that, you know, as far as what they are, and, you know, there is no,
Those board appointments are in the minutes. You can provide copies of the minutes and get all that,
Yeah, I
list.
do
That's-
that.
That's no problem at all.
I'll do that, yeah.
Turn the minutes in, we have a copy really of the board appointments in the office,
Mhm.
which is available.
It is.
All we would have to do is make a copy of that.
Does any of the board
Pretty
members,
simple.
does any of the board members have a problem with what Don has discussed?
No.
No, that's fine.
Which, like you stated, he's got to comply with the law. And, I'm sure everybody can do that, I hope they do. But, I don't serve on nothing except what this board's put me on.
Right.
And
And,
I'd like to say I'm not compensated for none of it. I've never claimed first expense for going to any of the meetings. So I'm not, I think, in a matter of perspective, if people want it, they should be allowed to know that, if there's any compensation.
So now, so what we're talking about are the boards that we've been placed on.
I've provided
to
that
this
list.
month. Well, then I got no problem with that. It won't take long to figure out how much money I'm making.
Not everybody seems
Okay.
to appreciate your discussion, and we can move on.